Marcus is a washed-up basketball coach who spends all day on Tinder looking for a social potato grill, then sits down and reads magazines, recalling the glorious days that helped countless teams win championship. However, just because of a rash moment of fighting with the players, his entire career was ruined. Currently, in addition to baking potatoes, Marcus also worked as an assistant coach for the basketball club that day during a match, discovering that the head coach strategy was like a jerk. It was bound to make the team lose face-to-face, so he proposed another strategy that the head coach refused to accept, causing both sides to quarrel. When they were defeated, Marcus chased away and showed his helplessness and violence by pushing the head coach. This ugly image was shown on the sports news on television. They commented that he still has a hot temper and nothing has changed. Marcus sat in the bar and didn't care much about those talks. He just wanted to watch to see if the other match would make any difference or not. Knows the result of the team that lost the match. He fooled himself. I said yes. If he followed my strategy, he would have won. Marcus drove out of the pub in a state of school, his mind still thinking about life that smelled like a jar of shrimp paste in a jar of beans. It's true that life is unfair, so he died. Hair is never straight, forever complaining to heaven and blaming Dat. Suddenly he saw a few young men being pressed against the wall by the police to search. Marcus immediately smiled gleefully. Then he crashed into a police car and was carried to the wall thanks to the head coach coming to guarantee him. He was released, but if he committed a crime, he would still be punished as usual. The court sentenced him to 90 days of community service by teaching basketball to mentally people. Marcus initially planned to prots. However, when he heard the 18-month prison sentence, he stopped. So through those many accidents, Marcus also fulfilled his dream of becoming the head coach of a football team. Although this team was somewhat different from other successful players, the members has an intellectual disability due to some force majeure reasons such as congenital genetics or an accident, so they have to live a life discriminated against by many people. At first, the male lead also feels helpless because it was very difficult to communicate with them. However, over time, he suddenly realized that even though they had shortcomings, they worked hard, such as his friend Benny, who pursed the image of an independent guy who worked as a chef at the restaurant, a restaurant that only knows how to sit down at the chopping board all year round. Johnny's, the guy who always smells like he hasn't bathed in many years, yet he chooses to work at the animal shelter where the dogs are kept. Pet situation is pitiful. Gred works at a vocational training center. She goes outside of office hours to work at a dye factory, and at night, he plays guitar in a rock band. Some other members have no relatives, so they are sent to work. However, they still worked hard in the garden every mornings. In the end, they were as useless as ever. From that moment on, Marcus began to have more sympathy and understanding. He focused on thinking of ways to train them to play the best football, but everything is not as simple as what he thought. Just wearing the same outfit is not the same color. They are very simple-minded and do whatever they like to communicate with them. Marcus takes a lot of effect. Many though went out to missing. Because the restaurant owner did not allow him to rest, the team had to play with a squad missing one member. For Marcus, this was the most helpless football match of his career. His coach kept talking about it, but nothing came of it, so he sat down boredly and dialed his phone to kill time. After that loss, his reputation suddenly resonated by coaching a team of people with poor intelligence to play. Basketball is something noble and sacred. A female reporter personally came to him to ask for an interview. Maybe Marcus felt his mission, so he opened up to them more. The next day, he decided to teach them. The strategy for playing soccer is just to stand in the right position and follow the command when to block the ball and when to pass the ball to teammates. Marcus is every bit enthusiastic, but it seems like they only absorb it in the last 50 minutes of practice. Everyone preparing to change his head. The people in the bathroom suddenly ran away screaming. Tom was curious and ran in to see that there was a lost Mickey in the bathroom. Instead of telling him to beat it to death, Johnny's was worried for Uncle Mickey. He said that was about to drown and had to quickly save him. Marcus suggested that since Johnny was an animal expert, it would be better for him to let him take action. Johnny's did not hesitate to do so, but the chance Johnny got close to the faucet, the water. Marcus persuaded him to wash himself to save the mouse. Johnny innocently and obediently listened to the coach instructions. At the same time, Marcus enthusiastically scrubbed him until the soapy water fell and the mouse sting. His eyes ran through another hole and Johnny saved Tom's own life. Everyone hugged each other to congratulate Johnny for that commendable action, and he smiled with his eyes wide open because he had just done a good deed. The next day, the whole group we welcomed new members, a girl with the face of a parent but the body of a student. They all got on the bus to go the compensation and one member got motion sick and vomited all over the driver. The group was quickly kicked out of the car. Johnny had no other choice but to use the help of her relatives to call her sweet sister to pick up the compensation. When she saw the female driver, Marcus panicked, because this was the damaged oven that he just baked a few days ago. He didn't expect that she was Johnny's older sister and also an excellent actress of the caravan group in front of Johnny. The two of them acted like they never knew each other because anyway I also only baked potatoes once when I arrived at the competition site. Marcus carefully reminded the team member about the strategy. Besides Johnny, everyone was very cooperative. So the team won their first victory that night at the end of a stressful day of competition. Johnny's sister insisted on taking Marcus home, although he refused, seeing how enthusiastic she was. He couldn't bear it. He was lucky enough to have baked potatoes for the second time since then. Marcus and Johnny's sister escorted the team to the match. They won match after match in an amazing way, perhaps all thanks to Marcus' advice and the male protagonist team spirit from a young man. The loser now has both fame and love. No one is as happy as him. That day, the gym had a problem and needed to fix the equipment. Instead of taking a break, take the whole team out to the practice field. There are 2 other teams playing right now. Marcus patiently waited for them to finish their turn and then asked to give up his seat, but they deliberately refused and laughed at Marcus for doing something crazy. Do you know who they are? And brought them onto the field. They are mentally and can't help it. Yes, Marcus punched him in the mouth, leaving the football field for everyone. That day training session was the time Benny participated in considering his character and body. He was much better than Johnny because he had a dream of taking the team far more on his path to professional competition. Marcus hired an assistant to assist him in training. But he went to Johnny's house to play and was warmly welcomed by his mother as soon as he met Marcus at the house of the damaged furnace. He looked quite surprised and didn't know what he was here for because the two of them hadn't made their relationships public yet. While having dinner, Marcus proposed taking Johnny to his home to take care of him, which would mean kicking him out of the football team. After hearing about the damaged oven, she was very angry and shouted at him, causing him to have to leave immediately. Unexpectedly, his observant mother saw the relationships between them and urged her to go after the damaged oven and be gentle. Find Marcus when it's just the two of them left. He says he tried being sneaky like this. Why doesn't she wants to make it public that if she ever known someone, Johnny will be close to the person, and if the two of them, if it doesn't work out, Johnny will be hurt because he doesn't dare to bet on this relationships. So Marcus has been drawn by the furnace to the line that we shouldn't see each other anymore. The next day Marcus met Johnny at the practice room. His face was very sad, and avoid Marcus. Seeing that, he had to admit about the relationships between him and his sister. Johnny said that he loved his sister very much. When he was born with this disease, his father cruelly left him and his mother. For Johnny, his sister is like a father who always protect him in every situation. If anyone makes her sad, he will not play with that person anymore. Besides Johnny, is there a members named Darius on the team ever wanted to go to the practice field with Marcus? He faster than the other member and has inherited talent if he hones it. He'll be like a shining gem in the team because he can't cooperate with him. Marcus has to meet the coach. The leader asked about the situation and learned that Darius was once his student, but due to a terrible car accident, he suffered a severe brain injury, implying that the problem that made Darius avoid him was due to his obsession with the accident. In the end, Marcus had a solution. He personally went to see Darius and proposed to never drink while driving again. His sincere words also made Darius so happy, but he still hasn't paid. The word is that it is accepted that there is a coach who used to drive her drunk and cause an accident like Marcus. But the 90-day period has expired and Marcus has officially become a free man, Mr. and does not need to come train for the team. Brainless basketball. There only one last match left for everyone. They don't know about their coach is leaving the team, so everyone practices hard. Benny also makes up his mind to tell the boss asked for a day off to compete in basketball because he loved this sport so much. Yet he was completely fired from his job. Even though he lost this job, Benny was still happy and had no regret at the semifinals with the same number. The members were the same. The first half went quite smoothly and both teams were still full of energy, so everyone played at their best until the second half. Marcus asked Johnny to replace Cred, but he refused because he still remembered that when he was popularizing the strategy, Marcus once asked him to just stand still like a statue even though his mind was a bit slow. But Johnny also understood that since he was a statue, there was no need to go out on the field to see Marcus helpless. The only female members of the team had to take action, bring the whole team into the meeting room and try to convince them that we should participate in the competition, not because of the coach. After a moment of reasoning, Johnny agreed. When he entered the field, Darius also proactively wanted to join everyone to end that day match with another goal. Marcus gathered everyone together and announced that his training period with the team would soon expire. Invite another coach to replace the path that Marcus took. They could not follow. He wanted to go straight into international professional tournament, so he had to abandon them in the middle of the road while there was only one left. The last match was the end of the season. Knowing this, the damaged furnace was angry and felt like he hated Marcus even more. However, at this time, he also recovered information that to participate in the final match, he needed a lot of money, if not preparing enough money to buy plane tickets and hotel reservation. Afraid that the team eligibility to participate will be cancelled, Marcus was upset all night and couldn't sleep. He looked back at photos of himself and the team members. Then he decided to go find the damaged furnace and help her because he thought about the big picture, but also dismissed everything and agreed to disguise himself as a police officer and go with Marcus to meet the owner of the restaurant where Benny worked, and they gave him evidence. There was evidence that he had abused an employee, specifically an employee who was mentally impaired, because he did not want to make a big deal out of it. The restaurant owner compensated them with enough money for them to use as a bribe. The whole association rented a spacious hotel and took advantage of the opportunity to play hockey together when they had free time on the day of the competition to win the gold medal. The reporter asked the interview question if Marcus was the coach for this team, in order to hide an internal scandal or not. He was crazy but still restrained himself, just scolded him for being a jerk, and then walked into the squad cutting process, seeing their worried faces. He tried his best, but the opponent was probably stronger than he thought. Not long after entering the match, the opponent scored 2 points and had to work very hard to get the ball into the basketball. Next, Darius' shining performance increased the score. The score went up to 2, but the match was quite long, so their score gap became wider and wider as opportunities to score for the home team were almost rare. The first half ended when Marcus' team still lost 15 points to the opponent. At this point, Marcus had to use psychological tactics. He encountered them not to be afraid of failure, not to be afraid of losing. We all have to be as brave as Benny to protect against the boss. Accepting losing your job is the most courageous act of anyone. Darius also had the courage to forgive and give him a chance, even though he didn't know if he could do it or not. Marcus radiated positive energy to each members. They excitedly walked out onto the field, but Johnny backed away and left the audience because he was still feeling guilty about not having achieved anything. He went to his sister's side and was suddenly advised by her about something. He ran towards Marcus and said, "I'm ready for the second half to start." Marcus' team seemed to be playing more enthusiastically. Not long after, a member ran out to show off his broken finger, but instead of asking for medical help, he broke his finger and continued to return to the energy match. Positivity and teamwork helped them shorten the score. Now they were only racing against time as they only lost 1 point. Finally, Marcus started discussing a new strategy for Darius to make the decided. Ly said frankly that this strategy was very bad and the opponent would definitely restrain Darius, so he should only let Darius lure the male lead into arguing that he was the head coach. But when he remembered the lessons of the past, he agreed, with the intention of absorbing and following the assistant strategy. According to the plan, Johnny would block Darius and shoot the ball into the basketball, but when it came to the match, things did not go as planned. Johnny got the ball instead, because he put it in the basketball. He then passed it back to another members. The guy turned around and threw it back behind everyone. He held his breath and waited for the landing position of the ball to go through the basket or not. It rolled on the rim and then bounced out. In addition to Marcus' regret and disappointment, everyone on the team was happy as if they had won this. Throwing the ball into the basket for the other guy was something that had never happened. They were happy, not because they received a gold medal, but happy because they conquered themselves and become their own champion. The content conveys a positive and humane message, spreading love and sharing not only between children, between people, but also between people and animals. This is the end of today's movie. Thank you for your interest. See you all in the next video.